Yeah, so this is a good question. A couple of years ago, when we worked together, I'd always heard you say and also act in a way that you always give people grace. I still think you're that
Mm-hmm.
person. And even though they continue to like make certain silly mistakes, you're very quick to forgive and you constantly see the good in everyone. And I think there was a particular way you said it that never left me. And I'm trying to remember, but for lack of better words, is like 9 out of 10 times I will always see the good, and I will take that nine over the one that you do wrong. And because we work together, and I really saw people just doing all sorts.
Mm-hmm.
To me, the humane part of me felt that was cool, but the professional part of me felt like, because one of the biggest part of my life is was or still is my career.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like I think one of the things I learned early is like you do not hire a brilliant jackass. So people who are very good at what they do, but they're like jackasses, and you gave so much grace to that that at some point in my perspective, it began to question your authority as a leader.
Mm-hmm.
So what has that been like for you? Do you still have? I'm sure you still have that because it's a core part of you. And how has that played out positively or negatively?
Yeah. So I wish somebody can write a proper autobiography of my life up until this point before we even unveil the next phase. Um, so just like I said, with respect to marriage and choosing a partner, it was that how do I identify people who have realized that a lot of life is still ahead of them and they have to be teachable to learn it. That also drills down into this thing that you have asked me, which is basically if people don't make mistakes, how are they going to learn? Right? These mistakes, no matter how crazy they seem to people who do not have context, the perpetrators or the person who made that mistake still needs to feel that embarrassment, feel that shame to learn.
Yeah.
Right? If I stop them from feeling that embarrassment, then they haven't really learned because they're like, oh yeah, Shaya used his acumen or his experiences to make a decision and we're going to work with that because we cannot see what the other side would have been. So it's a core value to me, right? Today I have 40 employees that I'm paying their salaries directly. I'm doing team lead. So if you could speak to any of them, even, and again, like I said, God has his way of writing your story. Even my co-founder also is my kind of person. So, and whether it is that we bounce, we are rubbing off each other in terms of what the approach is to building a great company, it is that we don't micromanage, right?
Yeah.
We never have. I have, you know me, I never
Yeah.
have.
Yeah.
So do your thing, right? I'm also not dumb, right? Even if I don't micromanage, I still know how to make decisions, right? I'll give you an example. My former HR person was like, Ashe, I think people are taking advantage of our relaxed kind of approach to
Culture.
work and culture and stuff like that. And people walk into the organization, people resume. Our resumption time is 9 a.m. People come at 10:30, 11 o'clock, and stuff like that. That we need to put a time and attendance machine to clock in and clock out. And so I was like, no, we're never going to do that.
Yep.
Right? Fortunately, at that time, we were like 23 people or 25 people. You and I know the latecomers in this place, right? So what happens is that when it comes to the time that we need to give responsibility or we need to give the opportunity of leadership to members of the team, you already know people that you cannot trust,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
If you introduce those kind of things, people will start coming early just for the sake of I've come in early, I've come in early.
Yeah.
Then your decision points or your decision making points have reduced because you don't know who is just coming because he wants to clock in or who is coming because they are responsible. So that is what that approach to work and life has taught me, and I stick by it. Now, your resultant question was something around how do I know that it is working or something like that. it is that you just need to take stock of the work that I've done,
Got it.
right?
Yeah.
We've built a company at a time of great disadvantage, and we've grown it to be the second largest HR tech company in Nigeria, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think all of those things add up to that success. The culture, the approach to work, the opportunity, the execution style, the hiring style, the ability to find the people who will work on your vision and all that stuff, as well as all the other things that I've done, right? So it helps me. I'm able to sleep better at night. I know that even though there are laxities within the team, they are visible to me. And when it's time to make a decision that becomes incrementally progressive, I have the data and I can make those decisions.
Got it. Being somebody who has worked with you as your subordinate, it's the reason I asked the question because I've only seen my context in the entirety of that. And when I say my context, is the growth even after we stopped working together. I haven't seen others' context that were quite negative. And I really think that you are you recognize talent, you have good data on what is being done right and what isn't being done right, even though you act like you don't. And I mean,
The results show. I mean, the results speak for themselves, isn't it?
that's all I'm gonna say. It is for me. That's all I'm gonna say. So yeah, okay, so this is a good question. Everyone is performative on the outside. And it's so funny because I think I'm learning that more and more in the weirdest way. So am I. And I sometimes feel like yours can be very out there. And maybe because I know you personally. And why do you think that people do it? Why do you think that you do it? And then how do you ground yourself so you're not always in that performative zone?
I need more. I need more context. So like people are very performant. So I will contextualize this to myself. Like, so the question is that, Cher, you appear very performative outside.
Yes.
Right.
I think that I would know because I know you even deeper. But someone who just met you will be like, maybe that's too much, or maybe, I don't know. Maybe I'm not.
Like we talk about our work. You know.
No. So I think what it is that you're a very genuine, open person. Some it might be too much for some people. There's also like the balance of you shouldn't really be out there saying all sorts type of thing.
I get that now. Yeah. In fact, people have listened to me and said like, Ashe, you interact and communicate with everybody. Shouldn't you think there should be some reservation and stuff like that? And again, everything has context. Where you are in your journey kind of determines, depending on how introspective you are, how much am I doing things just for doing sake, or am I doing things because I know what impact this thing that I'm doing is having, right? Those are two different things. If you are aware of your journey and you know that at this stage of my life, for me to find opportunity, I need to communicate very clearly the progress that I've enjoyed, the challenges that I face, the vision that I have, and stuff like that. And you find a channel to communicate it to the people who matter. It will be very foolish of you to now decide that that's when you want to exercise restraint. So, for me, I really don't care about the response of the public to the things that I communicate, right? Because I know it's purposeful, right? What I do has its purpose. So if I talk about my work and I appear at this event and I speak at this podcast and stuff and so on and so forth, it's because I'm trying to create something, right? Many people don't know that. And they're like, oh, I saw you here, I met you here, and all that. Now, as a principle for me and my life, I have a duty to impact the oncoming generation positively. My easiest approach is through education. And I've realized that the best form of education is imparting knowledge through your own experience, right? When you were in secondary school, right? And maybe they wanted to teach you an algebraic equation. And they say 2x plus 5 equals 25. Find X. It's very abstract, right? But if they say, I have a basket of oranges, right?
Context.
Right? I have a basket of oranges. And if I multiply those oranges by 2 and add another 5, then I will have 25 oranges. How many oranges were in the basket in the first place? It becomes real, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh, okay. We're looking for oranges. But you're telling me 2x, like all of this is very abstract, like I don't get it. So if I write a tweet, most of the responses to people, as if you see any viral tweet of mine, and I used to act like I didn't know what I do. when people say, Shay, how do you come up with these things? And I'm like, myself, no, I actually know. I write my stories. I tell my stories in the most humane, relatable way possible. Right? Because I want you to get the education. That's what I want. That's my principle. So I will tell you I will post my receipts when I go and buy fuel at the filling station, because I want you to know how real this thing is and how it impacts me and how it, sort of affects you as well. So that's my goal in life. That's one of the things. I've recently registered a foundation that is going to recognize academic excellence and stuff like that. So that is one of my cardinal pillars or focuses in this life, is how to impact the oncoming people, whether you are 2 years younger than me or 25 years younger than me, to be better players in society, because I cannot do all. I'll be done here. My energy is going to max out in 30 years, right? 30 years is a short time, so my impact is still very little on what the future of Nigeria is going to be, or at least my environment. So being performative is not, I don't really give a damn if some people look at this and like, Shay, you're doing too much, you're speaking too much, you're talking too much, you're praying too much. Like, if you own target audience me, right? My target audience is to the people who can see that story and realize that today everybody says, oh, Dangote became the richest man in Nigeria because his grandfather, Datata, gave him a 500,000 naira loan in the 70s or in the 80s. Everything that happened from the 70s to the 90s or 2000s, where he suddenly became the richest man, we don't know. Nobody knows, right? Like, you know the amount of work you have to put in from a loan to becoming $9 billion, $11 billion, $13 billion rich. So if we had a Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook from 1970 to now, and you go and read his timeline of how he grew incrementally to where he is today, then it becomes more relatable. Like, I see, right? So that's why I'm very open with my communication. Like, man, today, oh boy, B2B contracts stress me. You might have a contract signed, but when it's time to pay, they would ask you for the blood of the mosquito and this and that and blah blah blah. So people can see that, this thing is like real life. I'm not going to show up tomorrow as worth $50 million, and people will be like,
where did
how?
it come from?
Do you get me?
Right?
So that's why
you are. Got it. Tell me about paid HR. For me, I think like,
oh my god.
No, let me say no. Hear me. If I paid HR in the context that I know it to be is HR work regarding payments and salaries. If I didn't know about paid HR, but I knew about Seye, what I would have thought Seye would do was still something related to people, because I think you are a great manager of people. But then you went finance, people finance, not like you just said, people building is your thing. I've always known that people helping people understand, giving people the grace to be able to grow in their career and find their identity is your thing. But then you went people financing. So why?
They say payments is the second oldest profession in the world.
Okay.
After prostitution. Anyway, moving on. So the context of paid HR is still people. You're absolutely right. Paid HR was going to build a platform that gave or extracted value from people.
Okay.
how we arrived there was that people is what Africa has going for it.
Mm-hmm.
Not the mineral resources,
Mm-hmm.
not the what. Actually, that's what most people think about Africa. A land of mineral resources, vegetation, diamonds, gold, crude oil, blah blah blah. But our most inexhaustible resource is people.
People.
And you're right. My largest, biggest interest is in people and getting the best out of people and stuff like that. So I've said this story many times and I'm finding a way to not repeat the entire story again. Is that paid HR, when we started it, was like, okay, how do we create something that helps people become the best version of themselves? And when we did all our permutations and combinations, it arrived at the beginning has to be HR software. That's a place where you aggregate people and manage them. That's how we started. Now, as we've built out a lot more products in our roadmap, we now realize that, okay, you guys are now seeing that, payments and employee benefits and all that. So what paid HR is going to be in the future is a digital bank for Africa's workforce, right? So the people in Africa, there will be, in my own capacity, there will be other ancillary like businesses that I'm going to do that helps people find talent, develop talent, and then participate in Africa's workforce. But paid HR is going to build a platform that helps once you come into the workforce, right? Paid HR exists with the tools that it has built to help you become the best version of yourself. It will help you get better at your talent or your skills. It will help you make the best out of your pay. First of all, okay, receive your pay, make the best out of your pay, connect you to financial solutions that make your life better, and so on and so forth. So everything that exists in that value chain of employment and receiving salaries, and in being able to, from your app, invest in the stock market in the United States or in Philippines or in Africa, in Nigeria, anywhere, you'll be able to do once you come into the environment of paid HR. So, yeah, it's not a departure. It's still aligned.
Yeah, I like it. I like the fact that you took it as a journey, not one destination, and then you started to build your roadmap and then see the low hanging fruit, so to speak. It's really good. In my opinion, you're a generalist and not a specialist. And in this world where specialists are always like, oh, you have to specialize at something, and you know what they say, jack of all trade, master of none. But we know that's not the end of the quote and all of that.
Okay, I was about to clear you, but
that's not the end of the code. But like the world will label what they don't understand and make it feel like, oh, something is wrong. Tell me why and how that works for you. I know, but then if you're giving advice to, say, someone who is multifaceted, somebody who, because I'm also like that, and it took me a while, maybe not took me a while, but more like I knew my strength. Even though I could specialize at different things, I wanted to max out the capacity of my brain and my mind. For people who are like that, who are still stuck with the maybe societal norms of, oh, jack of all trade, master of none type of thing, and seeing how successful you've been at being a generalist,
yikes.
what is your advice to someone like that?
First of all, I don't think there's no such thing as a generalist, right? I mean, okay, society defines certain things as generalists.
Yeah.
But I believe that every generalist has an area of specialty.
Got it. Yep.
It's just that they've decided that for the impact I want to make in life, I have to rise beyond this my area of specialty and be able to do all of these things. The examples are everywhere. Would you say Elon Musk is a journalist? Even with the little context that we have, he has Neuralink, he has SpaceX, he has the Boring Company, he has Twitter, he has his roots in PayPal, and so on and so forth. So, like, bro, I did do everything because he has a certain impact that he wants to make on life. But if you sit with Elon Musk or people who worked with Elon Musk in his professional career, they'll tell you, no, Elon Musk is great at X or Y or Z. I am great at analyzing data to tell stories, right? I'm also great, like you said, at identifying talent and managing people. These things are core skills that if I wanted to
Hone
create
in
a
on.
career out
Yeah.
of, I will be top of my percentile, top percentile
Yeah.
in those areas. But I realized that as an inspired person, and I was trying to explain inspired people to my wife a couple days ago. An inspired person is that the difference between an inspired person and an uninspired person is the uninspired guy is like, oh man, Nigeria is not working. I have this skill set, so I'm going to sell all my property and japa, right? And then the inspired person goes like, regardless of these disadvantages, I have this opportunity. No, he may still japa as well,
Yeah.
but he has his hands in many things and is trying to create a certain type of impact. So because of my vision and because of the things of the kind of impact I want to create is why it now appears like, oh, Seye is a generalist and he does these things. One thing that I think I'm great at is I'm able to have an idea, right? But I won't let you know that I have the idea. I will work with you to the point where that idea that I already had is created and you believe that it's also your idea. It happens so many times, even in my organization.
It happened with me, Seye.
Right? Right? Even yesterday, we were at the studio and something happened, as in what the production became. I was like, yes, this is exactly how I wanted it to happen. But if you ask those guys, it's like they came up with this thing by themselves. But I had the idea many weeks ago. So it depends on your vision and the impact you want to create, right? Specialists are great. There are people who, for instance, say Warren Buffett, who is also one of the richest people in the world, is the best investor in the world, right? Yeah. The history is there,
speaks for itself,
right?
Yeah.
But there are guys like Bill Gates. There are guys like Elon Musk. There are guys like Ivan Kamprad. No, okay, maybe he's also a specialist. That's the IKEA guy.
Okay, I was gonna say I don't even know who that is.
He's not a creator IKEA. He was at one point the richest man in the world, but he died. There are guys who just know how to come up with stuff and gather enough people around it to make it work to the point that it has the impact that they initially wanted to have.
Give me a context as to when you're doing that. Run me through your mind when you're doing that. When you're trying to, when you have an
Seed an idea,
yeah, and then seed it into other people and make it look like it's theirs. Give me.
It all comes from impact.
Got it.
Right? It all comes from impact and the ability to see a vision that other people cannot see. When we created Paid, the reason why, it was PADE before,
yeah,
right? And people called it Pade and all of that.
I thought it was Pade.
Right?
I was Paddy.
Right? Yeah. And then when we changed to Paid HR, and people are like, why did you change to Paid HR? Blah blah blah. Paid was a vision, right? The initial domain name we tried to buy in 2020 or so was paid.com, paid.com.
Okay.
But that's an expensive domain name. The brokerage was $1,000. When we explored
that's even cheap.
No, brokerage.
Yeah,
the
I know.
Cost of it was going to be about 30,000.
Okay, because I was like, that's even cheap for brokerage.
So we're like, I beg. So we started to do like different types of variations and permutations to go to PAD. But unfortunately, people understood it as Pade, right? Now that we've changed to Paid HR, because of the learnings from our journey, and the HR part is not negligible. Is why we realized we have to add Paid HR. But back then, the vision was what we are even seeing now. Was like, how do we create value out of payroll? Yes, I will build the technology to do excellent payroll, but how do I do more? How do I build upon that? How do I create an ecosystem of payments and services and financial solutions within the world of where people earn their salaries to create value for the African continent? That was the vision of Paid, and that was what informed the name back then till we got to Paid HR now. Now, everybody I've met along that journey, those who have worked with me either as full-time employees or contractors or collaborators or participators or whatever, everybody sees the vision till today, right? Because all you need to do is to sit down with me 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 20 minutes in my office, and I explain to you the vision that people cannot see that we're trying to create. And that happens with every other thing as well. So it's usually that, whether it's big, medium, or small, I usually have like an outcome, right? A future that I can see that nobody else can see. And then I try to get you to see it as well. And break the journey down into bite-sized, achievable milestones that you now realize that, oh, if I achieve every of these milestones, all of a sudden I've created that future. And that's what it is for me.
Okay, so another example I'd like to hear is the one you did in the studio. So you have a music company.
Yes, it's a live recording studio.
Live recording studio. It has a beautiful.
It's called Better Sound. Yeah.
Better Sound.
Yeah.
I like the name.
Yeah.
Tell me that context you gave regarding people in the studio.
Yeah.
Yeah. Give me that. What happened?
So we have a routine, right? There's a way we do our recordings and performances and stuff.